Well, now, this is the biggest money secret that you have ever heard about finance. Okay, now, this is the point. Run your house as you running a business. By the way, run your house like a business. What does it mean? You run that specific. By the way, let me tell you one secret. They usually say this, okay? That amount of money that you usually get each and every month or day or a week depends on when you get paid. Most of it usually goes towards, rent, food, shelter, and all those kind of things, entertainment, clothing, black tax, and all those kind of things. Okay, so if maybe perhaps you were to treat that house of viewers, or that where you say, hey, I'm in control of this place, maybe you are the breadwinner and you're watching this video, you can be the mother, you can be the father, you can be the firstborn, you can be the second, third, fourth, whatever, you're the breadwinner of that specific house. So run it as a business. Before I explain to you exactly how to run it as a business, let's just borrow a very simple example from a business. So what can we get if we show up into any given business? What's likely are you likely to get from a business? Number one, you have to get there what we call the financial records. There's something called the financial records. See, financial records simply tells you, hey, guess what? In this business, this is our expenses, this is our what we call the operational costs. We call them the operational costs. See, operational costs. Operational costs simply means paying your employees, paying your paying your electricity, water bills, water bill, licenses, permits, and all those things. We call them the operational costs. Okay. In this financial record, you're still gonna get what we call the gross profit. See how much we get in terms of gross. What are our revenue? How much do we sell? And then out of that revenue, you're gonna get what we call the net profit. Let's use those terms. They're amazing terms. Okay. We're gonna have what we call the gross revenue, or how much you sell, and then you're gonna get something called net profit. See, net profit. Okay, you're gonna get net profit. Now, with that case regard, with that net profit, then you can actually tell, hey, guess what? If this is the operational cost, this is the net profit. Then, if you were to deduct, this is what we get as a clean profit or something of sort. Now, if you were to incorporate this kind of a things in your house, run it as a business, you will be shocked how much you usually use towards your sort of upkeep of those kind of things. There was a certain client who called me, and she told me, hey, guess what, Joseph, I earn good amount of money. I earn 274,000 per month. But guess what? I cannot even trace where my money goes. I have been employed for the last 8 months, but for now, I don't even know. I don't even have a savings for like a month, meaning like I don't even have 200,000 in my account. I can't even tell. So I say, hey, guess what? Well, this is sort of a complicated thing that you are getting ourselves into. All right. Do you have time? She said, yes, I have my time. Okay, fine. Do this. Take a pen and paper. Not a pen and book or whatever the place that you can actually write. Try to monitor how much you use. Don't change nothing. Don't adjust. Don't do nothing. If you grab 3 copies per day, or whatever the type, however you go to entertainment, just don't change anything. But I want you to record every time you use your money. Record it down. Hey, I've gone out with my friends to grab a coffee. Write it down. Hey, I've gone out there to take some kids for entertainment. Write it there. Hey, I've gone out there. Hey, I've received a call from home for the purpose of black. You do record each and everything for the next 30 days. Do so for the next 30 days. You know what? This is exactly what is usually done in a company for them to actually realize, hey, where are we getting it wrong? Is it the operational cost that is quite way high? Should we actually realize some profits if we were to cut the operational costs, meaning maybe if we can retrench some of the workers? Or maybe does it mean now in this company, well, do you think like you are having inept, sort of a head people there, who are in control of this specific place? Or maybe do you think we need a certain expert? Or do you think we need to copy? You see, when you start asking yourself like that, then it means that you're actually realizing something wrong in your business. Now, this is your business. This is your enterprise. Now, take these 30 days, each and every day, record down where and how much goes where. All right. So once you do exactly that, after now you are done with the 30 days. Okay. Now start classifying all those areas where that money is gone. And I said one thing, you're supposed to know one thing. Things are always classified into 3 in our lives. I know you've ever heard of me. Allow me to repeat it again. We usually have what we call the must have. We have the good to have. All right. And then we have what we call the nice to have. Okay. So when you have those three things classified that way, then you start fixing them in, okay? Okay, grabbing an expensive coffee was, is it a good must? No, it's not a must to have. It's a good one. I think it's a nice to have. You fix it out there. And then do the, so you keep on taking those things that you've noticed in a whole stretch over 30 days, then you keep on fixing at different areas where I paid the rent of more, that's a must have. Or I bought myself clothing, but not like an expensive clothing. Okay, that's a must have. Or maybe I bought myself some Gucci and some, that's a nice to have. You fix there. Oh, by the way, I grabbed myself a new phone because my phone actually had cracked, and oh, that's a good to have. You see, if you keep on fixing all these three baskets, so that at least you realize which basket is actually consuming much of your money. All right, now this is the point. If you ask me, I would prefer you use something like I would prefer using your money in this order. You can just pick something like 60, you can pick like sort of 30, and you can pick the other one like 10. All right, so that makes 100%. Okay, now the point is this: if you are channeling your dear money, if you're channeling something called dear money is that what you money that you're earning it in an active way. This is your salary. So if you're earning your salary, make sure that you do exactly this, okay? Because hey, at the end of the day, you ought to have some a little bit of a nice to have. The good money, obviously, you ought to have. So good things to have is like couch, the chairs, the TV, the telly, the internet to watch me, and all those kind of things. Those also are good to have. The must have. You obviously, you know what are these. These are food, the shelter, and the clothing. Things you cannot negotiate with. You have some kids whom you have to pay school fees. You can't be like, so you guys, you can like stay at home like for some few months. No, you can't negotiate. That's a must have. Okay, you treat it like an emergency. Whenever it shows up, it's like an emergency. Ought to be, you have to, you really have, you have no otherwise. Okay, now after you've done exactly this, you're now running this house as a business. Now you ask yourself, what are the shakeable things? What things can you actually shake them off so that at least you realize where your money is going? And the moment you do exactly this, you'll be able to realize, hey, you don't even need to do nothing on the must have. Save even some a little bit of the nice to have, the on good to have. But on the nice to have basket, this is where you realize you ought to actually constrict that amount of money that you channel towards this specific basket. That's the reality. I actually did this by myself for the purpose of my identifying, exactly how is the money going and how do I utilize the money. And I was shocked in this category. That's the time I realized, hey, guess what? I have to classify my things. I have to classify my money. And by the way, this is basically how I budget my money. You can steal this form of a budget. This is how I do it. So they must have actually have all the things that I have to pay, the good and also the nice to have. All right, okay. Now the point is this: you have to have what we call the financial records. You have to have the financial, you have to understand your business. You cannot tell me you're operating a business. And it's quite funny. You can find an individual who is very good at business, but very poor at home. When I say home, I mean in terms of the finance. You are supposed to be good at it because, hey, if you realize that you're saving nothing, can you imagine somebody calling you and telling you, hey, guess what, Joseph? I'm earning 80,000. I'm earning 100,000. I'm earning an X amount of money, but I'm saving how much? Zero. I'm saving nothing out of that what I earn. And then you wonder, wow, what if something was to happen? Do you have an emergency fund? No, they do not. What if you get fired? What if you're not able to work? What exactly can you be able to do? And you actually feel very pity because in this case scenario, these people or that individual can actually get themselves in a ditch that is very hard to get out of it. All right. Now, after you're done with what we call the financial records of that specific house that you're running, it's also good to make sure that at least you check on what we call, the things we call the social aspect of your house. The social aspect of your house. Now, the social aspect in this regard, it must have a social aspect. Social aspect in this regard, it considers about who do you deal with, who are the people who you actually associate in this house. Okay, yes, I do have the kids, I have the wife, or I have the husband, I have the kids, or I have the brothers, I have the sisters, I have the guardians, whoever you live with, those immediate people who usually use your money. It is good to understand their social aspect, their perception, how they perceive things, what are their goals, the long-term goals, the short-term goals, and all those kind of things. Okay, now with that regard, and by the way, before I even forget anything, on the financial record, it's also good to incorporate your goal as a house. You ought to actually have an indication, hey, this is where we are heading, this is our short-term goals, this is our long-term goals, this is our medium-term goals, and all those kind of things. Okay, back to the social aspect. The social aspect here is good to understand, and this case regard, I'm assuming if you're married or maybe you have a partner whom you're living with, it's good to understand their social approach. When you understand their social approach, that kind of actually affects or has an effect on their financial approach. And it's quite funny. You find some people usually act surprisingly. The moment they get married, you set up a business for your husband, you set up a business for some family members who are back at home. You think, hey, instead of them calling me each and every time for me to support them, hey, why don't I get an X amount of money, start them an enterprise or a business? Therefore, I empower them, I grow them so they can rely by themselves. But that's not how they view it. From their end, they view it as, hey, guess what? We have a family member who is outside the country, so they just have like an excess amount of money so they can throw on to us. And by the way, for your information, even if you fail on this business, therefore it's still gonna send some money back to us. And that's why you set up some money. Nobody's serious taking the business. They don't take it as if it's like their dear business. They take it as a joke. The moment they realize the business is gone, now they're back to you like, hey, guess what? I think the business is not working. We don't even know what we can. I don't know. What would you advise us? By the way, I'm even worried about the business. I think we can just go back to what we used to do and all those kind of things. And maybe perhaps you hold back. You say, hey, guess what? I may not be able to do exactly that because I did start that business for the sake of you guys to get up for yourselves. And then you develop an enmity. So what does it mean? It means you have to understand the social aspect of your people. And that's why we usually have what we call, is it human resource manager or relationship manager or something also? Because you have to understand the social aspect of your workers. You have to know who are suffering from the stresses. It's also good to make sure that you go down there and understand, oh, some of these people, you've put them in a very critical stage of the, we call it the conveyor belt of the production. Let's say you are in a production area, and then you put some people who have some a lot of, mental torture, mental stresses, and all those kind of things. You may not be able to solve all their problems, but it's good to have a department inside of your factory or a company to actually be catering these people. Those guys can actually show up to that place and they can express themselves, they can share their idea, because you never know, right? So anyway, the point is this: it is good to understand the social aspect, understand the person whom you are relating with. Who are they? How do they perceive money? How do they perceive life? So that at least by the time you think of you setting them a business in the name of, hey, I'm doing so to empower them to also actually expand the basket of income, you don't get discouraged along the way. And by the way, if you're first time watching my video, there's a video I did post like less than 5 days ago. I said, hey, these are the 10 tough questions that you're supposed to ask your partner before marrying her or him. Some of those tough questions that you're supposed to ask them is about finance. How do they perceive budgeting? How do they even think about, hey man, what if today I get a windfall money? What if today, how do you handle sort of financial stresses, unexpected expenses, and all those kind of things? So by the time now you're coming on board, you already know you're dealing with this kind of an individual, so you don't act surprised or something of sort, because you have a lot of people out there who get surprised and they do not know, hey, how can I respond to this kind of a situation? I didn't even know. Some people even say, hey, guess what? I just got fired and I was left. I'm now alone. I do not only have a job, but I also don't have a what? But also don't have even a wife or a partner or something of sort. It is good to understand their social aspect. If you realize maybe your partner has a weakness of spending, then you can know how you can actually regulate them. If you understand, hey, this is how your kids need, this is what they need, this is how they behave, and all those kind of things, this is how your family members want or need, that helps you to go ahead and run that specific enterprise as a business, and that helps you to go out there and be able to salvage some or most or much of your money, and you can channel it towards an investment. All right, now guess what, guys? Perhaps you can just put some few comments on the comment section and tell me, hey, how else can you actually run that specific house in a business way, so that at least you can at least apply some of the things that can be helpful. And again, when it comes to a business issue, it means that you ought to be serious. You ought to have some things like the emergency fund. You never know, a time can come and you also need to do something, but your business does not have any money. Then you'll be required to pull up some loans out there. Therefore, it means, hey, you're gonna get yourself in some sort of cash crunch if you do not know how to plan yourself. So those are the nitty-gritties that you're supposed to incorporate in your life and also in your houses, so that at least you're going to get yourself in a cash crunch. Remember one thing, yeah, we are in competition, I can't deny that, but as much as we are in a competition, make sure that everyone is on their lane. Don't feel comfortable, it is true. Compare yourself with others on a healthy way, not in an unhealthy way, so that at least you can feel motivated towards this financial freedom. Do we know when it will happen? What we know is it will happen. We do believe that, and we do so each and every day. Remember one thing, success is always an intersection between those 2 points, the hard work and the luck. Where they intercede, that is exactly where we say it is the success. We do not have a control over luck, but we have a control of what we think about our lives. We have a control of working hard, control of the controllables, and everything gonna fall into place. Take care of coins. the notes will take care of themselves. Or you guys, you call them bills, whatever you call them. Just take care of coins, and the notes ones will take care of themselves. Or in simple terms, take care of minor things, and major ones will take care of themselves. For now, it's a goodbye. But don't forget, pick that number of mine from the description of this specific video. Shoot me a call, or there is an email there. You can as well shoot me an email. Let's do some business. Because I got myself some booklets on investments. I also offer those services pertaining to financial advisory. Don't forget to pick that number, and also like the video, comment down below, share it out if you're in a position to. For now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next one.